Avian influenza, what is it? What types of animals does it affect? Should I take my bird feeders down? These are all questions that we're going to talk about today. And I feel like this comes up every so often. There's an outbreak of avian influenza, and it really started in 2022. And the strain is called H5N1, and it is known as an HPA1, which is a highly pathogenic avian influenza. So that's what this is, and there's been an outbreak as of late. This is February of 2025. And so the main animals that this is affecting is poultry, is the biggest one, waterfowl, and raptors. So it also affects some other bird species, but definitely not as much as those groups. It can be transmitted to mammals as well, but it's very rare for people to get this from a bird. It's transmitted by saliva, mucus, or feces from these animals. Sometimes they think if a mammal eats a bird that's infected, the mammal can get this as well. And one of the big questions that I've been seeing people asking is, should I take my bird feeders down? Is having bird feeders up going to cause this to be spread and ultimately be a negative for bird populations in the area? And so the answer right now is no, you should not take your feeders down unless you also have backyard poultry. It's pretty rare for songbirds to be getting this and spreading it to other birds, so right now your bird feeders should be fine. However, if you do have backyard poultry, the idea is that even though it is rare, a songbird could spread it to your poultry and then they could, kind of get decimated by the avian influenza. So with that, you probably do want to take your bird feeders down if you have those backyard animals, and then try to keep everything spread out. So like have food and water that's only for the livestock, not for wild birds, and kind of separate it as much as possible so that those birds don't get the avian influenza. But for now, backyard bird enthusiasts, you're fine to keep your feeders up. Definitely keep track of the news. Things may change. We could get more information, so make sure you're up to date on the latest news with that, and make sure you are cleaning your feeders and your bird baths regularly just to help reduce any kind of disease spread. It's also not thought that this is much of a food risk. If you're cooking your things like chicken and other stuff, it should get rid of the influenza, and it shouldn't be a problem as long as you're cooking everything correctly. Now, this is going to have some other implications if you are doing things like cleaning out nest boxes or working with nest boxes. You're probably going to want to take some extra precautions like wearing gloves, maybe wearing a mask, washing your hands very well afterwards. And this is going to affect probably wildlife rehabs as well for what animals they're able to take in. I know our local zoo actually closed the aviary because they were worried about the avian influenza spread. So you might see some stuff like that rolling out. Another thing is if you're seeing a bunch of dead birds, you can call your local state wildlife agency to see what they would recommend. Keep your pets away. You don't want to get too close, but that is something to keep in mind, especially if you're seeing a ton of birds dying in one location. So that's a little bit about avian influenza. For right now, keep your feeders up, but watch as the information may change to try to get the most up-to-date info about what they're recommending. There's also a tracker where you can see reports of avian influenza, and it's pretty interesting to look at all the data. So I'll put a link in the description to that. Let me know if you had any run-ins or issues with this going on right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.